Well, hello, everyone. How's it going? How's it going? And welcome back to episode number 2 of the Cris P Show. Of course, I am Christian, better known as Cris P. And welcome to what this adventure is going to be, which is we're going to be talking about the World Cup. We're going to be talking about different stories and just different things that happened throughout the summer that honestly made it unforgettable. So with that being said, and with everything that we're going to talk to, we're also going to talk about different things with a different guest, about life and just hobbies and just everything, anything and everything that basically comes into the conversation, right? So before I get into everything that we're gonna do here in the show, let me just say that I want to give a shout out to, of course, Bayou City Soccer. We are here in the Bayou City Soccer space, so I want to give a quick shout out to everybody over there, everybody on the chat. Make sure you tune in, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and just let me know if you have any questions and stuff like that. Today is going to be a solo show, so I'm not going to have a guest. We're going to continue with the guest next week. Riley James will be next week, and he's going to have a beautiful perspective on American soccer and just being an American, having, and while we have a World Cup here in the United States of America. So it's going to be a fun show. I'm sure it's going to be really cool to hear his story and his perspective and how the World Cup has shaped and made the what it was in 2026 and what can we expect in the future. But today we're going to talk about my ride. I know I've been talking about the different things, throughout the weeks. We've been going live on the Bayou City Soccer podcast show and just on different, other places. And I've been talking about my story. I've been telling people about my story, but I don't think I shared it completely. I don't think I've told people that a lot of people don't know that I went to 8 different games, 8 different matches in this World Cup. And that I was blessed, to do something different, this summer than I have ever done in my life. And honestly, just literally living my dreams. So yeah, but like I said, before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to Bayou City Soccer. BayouCitySoccer.net is the website. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you tune in and read all the articles and everything that we do over there. We cover Houston soccer, pro, semi-pro, everything. We've done college and just a bunch of different things. So make sure you tune in over there and just keep up and stay up to speed. Make sure you follow Bayou City Soccer in all social media. We're on X, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, Blue Sky. So everywhere that you have social media, make sure you tune in Bayou City Soccer. If you are listening to this on a podcast feed, make sure you tune in as well there. But leave us a review if you can, 5 stars. Do the whole thing. So obviously we can get more eyes on what we do here, and hopefully the soccer community can grow. We also have a Discord group for those that would like to go the extra step. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's only $3 a month, which that helps with the expenses and just everything that we do, that we have to kind of provide and do all these things so we can keep Bayou City Soccer going. And that goes a long way for us. And obviously that brings you into an exclusive chat where you have an exclusive sometimes information and just different things that we sometimes break there first and then to the public. So make sure if you want to be part of that community. And also we have game day chats we have throughout the week. We talk about world soccer, obviously now with the Premier League coming and all that. We're going to be talking about that, and just a little fun community that we have over there, that where we talk soccer and just everything that we can, from food, from everything. We also have a Strava group. So if you are into running, walking, swimming, any exercises, we are also, building a community around that as well. So if you want to be part of that, just make sure you find us at Bayou City Soccer on Strava and just join the group and let's get moving, basically. But yeah, everything at BayouCitySoccer.net. That is the website, and hopefully you guys can join us and tune in. Also, if you're on the chat, please let me know if this audio sounds good. Unfortunately, last week I wasn't able to double check my audio. So the conversation that I had with Aldo Canale, which I highly recommend, episode 1, he shared his story about him going from being denied one week to then being accepted by FIFA and then being a photographer for the Republic of Congo. So his story is actually crazy. So if you want to listen to that, episode 1 is on the feed, on the YouTube channel, everywhere that you can find Bayou City Soccer. And like we always do, and I always mentioned, this is part of my life, faith, that is. And I just wanted to read a psalm, or at least a portion of a psalm that spoke to me this week, and hopefully, will speak to you guys as well. It's a very long psalm. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm going to read a portion of it, so hopefully you guys can join me on that. And it's Psalm 139. I'm only going to read 1 through 6, so I'll try to keep it short. But it says, "O Lord, you have examined my heart, and you know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I am far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I am going to say even before I say it, Lord. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing over my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand." And what I get from that is basically, how loving is God, that he's there before and after, and he's there during. So hopefully that's a little bit of encouragement for everybody there. But yeah, let's get into it. Episode 2 of the Cris P Show. Thank you guys for joining me. Like I mentioned, this is going to be a solo episode, but I'm going to show you a few things that happened to me. I have a ton of pictures. If you go to my Instagram at Cris Putallaz, which is my phone name, you can see pictures there and everything like that. But I have some souvenirs that I brought from the World Cup with me that I want to show you guys, and I want to talk about every single game that I was in. And also, I want to play a game. I want to play a game that is, every time I say or every time I say obviously, or every time I say like, I want you guys, whoever's over there listening to this, make sure you keep a count. And then the count that however many I say those things, like, or obviously, because those are like the tick words that I have. Let me know at the end of the either on the chat or afterwards. You can like message me or email me, whatever, and then I'm gonna do the amount of push-ups that I say. So it's an exercise for me to talk better and to be a better communicator. So hopefully you guys can keep me accountable for that. So yeah, no no likes, no obviously, starting now. So we'll get going. So episode 2, I called it the unforgettable ride, because honestly, it was an unforgettable ride. This is something that is going to be with me for the rest of my life, and I am super excited to kind of share it a little bit, and hopefully you guys come in this ride with me, because it was crazy. And a lot of things happened. I met a lot of people. I made new friendships. Old friendships that I saw, and just different stories and different things that happened throughout the month that honestly were awesome. So let me just start with from the beginning, I guess. So with Bayou City Soccer, we applied as an organization. Dang it, I said and we got denied to begin with, right? We unfortunately got denied as an organization because FIFA decided that we were too small of an organization to be part of FIFA, to be part of the World Cup, which is funny, because I always, in my mind, and I always say that, Bayou City Soccer is probably I don't know if the biggest, but I feel like we're very consistent when it comes to covering soccer in the city, and hopefully you guys feel the same. And I think we do a great job. I mean, we're not perfect. We're not awesome. I mean, we are awesome, but we're not, just perfect. But I think we do enough work to deserve some type of recognition sometimes. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the group as a collective. We are a group of, I think, 8 to 10 people, and we work our butts off to bring you the best content, to bring you the best information, to be accurate, professional as much as we can, and just to be good, and to leave the club in a good light, and also be critical whenever we have to. I think we try to balance it out. Some people think we are maybe too biased, maybe too not. So it's just, it's just a balance that we have to do sometimes to try to keep the relationships good. And it can be tough, right? But sometimes we feel like we are the spearhead, we lead the charge when it comes to soccer here in the city. So it was a blow to the ego, in a sense, to me, in a little bit, but I don't know if to the ego, but just to, like it kind of pushes you down, like you're more, not in Spanish, just te demoraliza, like it just, it just pushes you down. You can probably get an AI count the umps. I probably could. I need to figure that out. Jeff, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Um, there goes another one. But so we were denied, and we were kind of sad, and we were just kind of down because we were gonna have to cover the World Cup from home, but away from home, basically, knowing that we had the World Cup in Houston, and it kind of sucked, right? But I always tell people, like, to me, God works in mysterious ways, and He did in this one. And funny enough, this time around, I feel like He uses people in a sense, and I think this one, if Victor Araiza, who has been a long time follower of football here in the city, and honestly one of the names that a lot of people respect, and obviously he has a lot of opinions that sometimes make people mad, or maybe not so happy. But I think he's a respected a person that has a respected opinion, at least in the city, or at least I respected. He was one of the first few guys that when I started podcasting back in like 2019, 2020, he accepted an invitation to my 2 viewer podcast, and he was gracious about it. And not only did we do an hour on camera, which actually Victor will come on and he's going to share his story also in the probably late August, early September. And he's going to come in and he's going to give us his World Cup story, because he was there. He flew to Mexico and he did a bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be cool to hear that story. And so Victor, he was on our show. We had him as a guest to talk about the Dynamo, to talk about just soccer stuff in general. And at the end of the episode, we usually we stay after the, believe it or not, after yapping for an hour and sometimes an hour and a half in the Bayou City Soccer podcast. We actually stay afterwards with the guy sometimes, depending on who is on, and depending on what we have to talk about. We just kind of catch up and talk about family, talk about life, and just kind of build each other up, because at the end of the day, with Rudy or Maddie or Joey or Dustin or Manny or Diego or the guys that you see on camera, we're actually friends. So we try to keep that friendship and just kind of build that up. And like we said, Victor, I feel like we have created a friendship too, and he stayed after. And we were just talking about different things about the World Cup and this and that. And I remember that he was accepted to go and cover it, so we were so happy for him. And he was like, "That's weird that you guys were not accepted. That's weird that you guys got turned down, given the numbers that you guys do. Unfortunately nowadays it's all about numbers and views and likes and clicks and just stuff like that." And he was like, "Let me see what I can do," because he was like, "I know people." And we were like, "Bro, if you can do that for us, we will be eternally grateful to you." And unfortunately for us, he got in contact with a person that worked in FIFA or had a position in FIFA that was a local person. I'm not going to mention her name, just I don't know, because I don't know if I can or not. We'll ask Victor later. But this person used to work here in Houston doing communications, and now has a higher position. And then she was working for FIFA, and he put in a good word basically for us. And fortunately, we got accepted as an organization as Bayou City Soccer. The thing is that there was only a few spots allotted to us. If I'm not mistaken, only two people as writers or just covering from the media side, I guess, and like reporters, and then 2 photographers. So our 2 photographers, which we have plenty, but we had Aldo Canale, who was in episode 1. We had Omar Duran, if I'm not mistaken, is his last name, and then we had Ricky Vega. So one of those guys was able to get connected and was able to get accreditation through their own connections, which was awesome, because then that meant that it left the spot for the other 2 guys. So we had 3 Bayou City Soccer photographers to cover the World Cup for Bayou City Soccer, which is amazing. And then on the other side, we were like, okay, so some of us got approved, some of us didn't, and we just kind of we're looking like, what do we do? Who's gonna go and do the best job for Bayou City Soccer? And honestly, it was kind of weird, because we have come to a honestly, I'm about to cry, which is weird. we have come to a relationship with the guys that this cat, of course, he would come over here. But we come to a relationship with the guys that we have built so much trust and so much like friendship and just so much love for each other in a sense as friends. And not only that, but like at least me and Rudy, I consider him one of my best friends in a way. I don't know if he does, but Rudy, I've talked to him about personal issues and stuff like that. So and he's always open to listen to me and give me feedback and encourage me and stuff like that. And actually Rudy did something that I'm always going to be grateful for, which is the position that he had. He passed it down to me. Manny was already in accepted, and then we had one other position available for media, to go as a reporter, to go, and it was between basically me and Rudy, right? And honestly, for out of respect for Rudy, I was like, hey, I think we were at a spot that we're like, no, you take it, you deserve it more, and honestly, I feel like he does deserve it more, because if you guys knew the amount of work that Rudy and Dustin and like those guys do, um, is it's crazy. Like they dedicate so much time to Bayou City Soccer and to make this the best possible source of information for the soccer community in Houston, that you guys will be blown away. So when Rudy said, "Hey, man, like you are," and I feel like the guys said it, and I'm not trying to honk my horn or whatever the expression is, but to toot my own horn. But they were like, "Hey, we know how passionate you are about this game and how crazy you get and just a bunch of nice things." And they were like, "You should go and do it." And I was like, "Man, like it was like a lot of emotions because I felt bad, but I was also happy and I was wrestling with those. But at the end of the day, I feel like I felt like I was okay. If I'm gonna take this opportunity, I have to give it my all, and I hope I did. Honestly, I feel like I could have done more, but that's for another time. We're gonna have gold cups and stuff like that, and we're gonna continue to push forward. And I feel like Rudy just basically he said, "Hey, like you earned this in a way, right?" And like I said, I'm always gonna be eternally grateful to Rudy and to the guys, but Rudy specifically for that. And I love that dude. But yeah, so that happened, and then so we were at a point where we were like, man, like, or at least me, I was like, I don't know, like, can I believe this? Like, I don't know how to believe it. I don't know how, if to believe it or to not believe it. And at the end of the day, I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna wait till the day of if I receive the tickets from FIFA. So at the one point, you have to apply for every single game that you wanted to go to, and it would be on standby, and then they would approve you or deny you for different things. So you could apply for a parking pass. You could apply for like basically a ticket to get in, and then for a media zone, uh, like a media seat to watch the game. Because I know a lot of, like, for example, Cesar Procel from Tudene, he got approved to be in the stadium, but not approved to be with media, which is crazy because he has a radio show, a daily radio show on a major network, but he didn't get approved, which is wild. That just kind of show you what FIFA is weird. But yes, we got that, and then mix zone, which is where the players come out and talk to the people. So some of them we would get them, some of them we will be denied, some of them we will be like accepted. So me and myself and Manny, we were like flip flop at times. So like he would do one thing and then I would do the other, and just kind of depending what we were given pass to. But those are the things that we literally kind of had to wait sometimes to like the day before the game to see if we were accepted or not. And honestly, I would be scared, even though I knew I was already in. I would be scared because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get in or not. Luckily, we were able to do it. But before the World Cup started, we had an opportunity to do a stadium tour. I remember the guys were busy. We couldn't go. So I was lucky enough to work close by Reliant Energy or Energy, whatever we want to call it, NRG, but we'll call it Houston Stadium. It was close. I worked close, and I could leave work early enough to make it to the stadium in time for this tour, which was like in the middle of the day, basically, for like news and just channels and stuff like that. And obviously we were accepted, so we were able to get to it. So I went to this tour of the stadium, and of course, they take you through to the doors, and they're like, oh, this is gonna be the entrance, and then they took us to the locker rooms where the teams were gonna be. And one locker room was Portugal, and the other one was Curacao, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, it was Germany Curacao, which is the first game that I went to. So one was Germany, and the other one was Curacao. Was it? Yeah, it was. And we were like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, we were in the locker room where the players are going to be at, and just stuff like that. And then they're like, okay, we're going to go to this place, we're going to watch, we're going to see where media are going to be. And we saw where everything was set up for media to go in, and just people, like, media come from all over the world to watch these games, and to, like, all the different channels, and they have all the machines. And you probably saw pictures on my Instagram. And I was like, man, this is crazy, like, and this and this and that. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna go into the field area. We weren't gonna go into like the actual field, but we're gonna go to the lower bowl, where you're gonna see the field close by. Of course, there was a lot of media outlets and news outlets, and everybody was doing videos for their social media and stuff like that. And I remember I went there, and I went and I sat down in a seat, and then I just took everything in. And I was like, I remember, like, I was just looking out into the field, and there was like this big old machines, that give light to the grass so it can grow, because they had just put it down like a week before or something like that. And obviously they wanted to get it ready for the game, and the game was like in the next few days or something like that. And then just like emotions just like started pouring. And that could, I would look around and see all these like news people, and I don't want to knock them down, but they were happy and excited, but I feel like the emotion was different. And like I said, I don't want to be the holy soccer guy, but just being, I was like, man, this is a World Cup. This is the pinnacle of soccer for a soccer lover. And growing up the way that I grew up, you guys know my story. Soccer has been such a thing since I was a little kid. And I wanted to be a soccer player since I could have an understanding of life. And I worked for it for a few years. And I continued to play. I played basically until I was like 18, 19, like competitively. Even after high school, I found a competitive team that we played. And obviously then you get to an age where we just don't play no more, because you have to go to work, or life gets in the way, and you just become an adult, and now with responsibilities, you got to pay bills. Or in my case, like, I wanted to help my parents with their bills and stuff like that. So being a kid at 18, 19 just wasn't a thing anymore, right? And it was just like me just taking it all in, like just taking it all in. And I remember I grabbed my phone and I recorded a video to my parents, and I said, Mom, Dad, thank you so much for everything that you guys have done. As an immigrant coming to a different country, when your parents, you guys, some of you guys may understand what being an immigrant is. Some of you guys might not, which is fine too. But it's just growing up as an immigrant. Life is different. Life is different because sometimes as a kid, like, you have to grow up fast, and and some people might know, like, you become the people, the person that has to translate to your parents, and because you learn the language quicker, and now you go to school and you can read and write English and they can't. And just all these like things and emotions and feelings and just everything that happens of you growing up an immigrant and not knowing where you're going to end up or be. But you still have that connection, right, to soccer, because to me, soccer is it's more than the sport. It's a connection to my roots, as you can see, right? Like this is the only thing I have that keeps me being Argentinian daily in a sense, because I'm not Argentinian. I mean, I'm Argentinian, but I live outside of it, and I can't go back. So it's not that I can go and experience it and come back and just be like, oh, I got my fixed. No, like this is the extent of my Argentinianness. You know, watching it on TV or watching soccer or just enjoying the emotions. And not only that, but this is the connection that I have not only to the land per se, but to my family, because this connects me to my grandpa, my dad's dad. He's a River Plate fan, which is funny. My dad obviously is a Boca fan. He made me a Boca fan, but the reason he's a Boca fan is because his grandpa was a Boca fan, and his grandpa made him a Boca fan, and it's part of like culture. And look, it's so much part of culture that this is a mate, right? Like it has Cristian and Fernanda, like, which is me and my wife, and it has the logo. This is a wedding souvenir from one of my uncle's weddings. Like one of my uncles got married, and their souvenirs were mates. Like like that's how deep it runs. Like it's just like the culture embedded into one freaking wooden thing. And that's just what it is, right? Like that's just what it is. But yeah, so that's the connection that I have to soccer. So like when I was sitting there, this is before the World Cup. I'll get to the games, I promise. But when you're sitting there and you're like, bro, like this is crazy, because not only is just a soccer game, it's like the World Cup. And God knows what's gonna happen, because one of my dreams was to watch Argentina play. And I did. I went to go watch them at Kyle Field when they play Honduras, a friendly, I think it was. I think they played Honduras. But it's a friendly. It's not for the points. It doesn't have the same feeling, meaning, even though Messi was there and everybody was there. Emi Martinez didn't play, Messi didn't play. Like I didn't get to see Messi play, which is like one of the dreams, right? Like see this man live. Like he had been evading me for so many years, in a sense. Like when Miami played here in Houston, he didn't come. When Miami played Tigres, he didn't play. Whenever Argentina would come, for some reason or another, I didn't go because I couldn't have afford the tickets or whatever it may be, right? But I just never seen the men play live. And that game, I wasn't able to see him live. And not only that, but just seeing like the country itself, like Argentina itself, play live was like a dream, which it came to be. Spoiler alert. But yes, that stadium tour was wild. Like I said, not only did I thank my parents, I made them a video and I sent it to them, thanking them for everything. But also my wife, she's been the freaking rock. Like literally, the only reason I do everything that I do is because she pushes me to be who I am, in a sense. Not in a sense, in all the senses. Literally, I wouldn't do half of the things I do if it wasn't for her. She's the type of person that I tell her an idea that I have, and she's like, okay, do it. And I'm like, yeah, but this and that and this and that. She's like, well, are you just going to talk about it, or are you going to do it? So I have to give her like so much props. So I made her a video too, and I sent it to her, thanking her, and not only her, but like my whole family. Like I have 4 kids. Like I am a father of 4 children that need my attention, that need my love and support, and they need me to be there too. So just the fact that they also, like as little kids, support dad and they get excited for me, like it brings me so much happiness when they ask me, Dad, how was the stadium? Like, are you going to your stadium job? And I'm like, man, like if you guys knew, like I wish it was a job. I wish I got paid to be at a soccer stadium. We're not at a point with Bayou City Soccer where the guys get paid. No, like we just do it out of passion. But imagine like if we could just do this full time. If I didn't have to wake up early in the morning, go to work, come back, and then have to do everything that we have to do for Bayou City Soccer. That's why I always bring up Rudy and Dustin and them, because they have jobs, and at the same time they have another job, which is this, and they keep it afloat. So it's awesome. But surreal experience. This is just a stadium tour. So we're gonna get to the games, and I'll try to go fast. I told myself we're gonna be here an hour, so we'll see how it goes because I had 8 games. So we'll try to go through each one, and I'll give you a quick story or two, because everything had its own different component, right? So the first game that I saw was Germany Curacao. As you can see, they had souvenir cups. Shout out to Manny, which I let him down many times because we would go after the games and go cup hunting. Both of us, these were $15, which in this economy, $15 is a lot. But obviously, it's a beautiful souvenir. It has the two teams. It has the actual number of the game, so 10 out of 104 games. It has the date and where location of the game. It's a beautiful souvenir cup. Obviously, it says collector's edition, and obviously it comes with your drink, right? But $15 for a Coke, it's a little steep, But some of them I actually bought, some of them I didn't. But this one I bought, or this I don't even know. No, I don't think we bought this one. But Manny, he would also hook me up sometimes whenever I couldn't find one. We would go hunting, and he would hunt with me. So we did that. But yes, this Germany Curacao. I have, it was their first game. We didn't know what to do, to be honest. I didn't know how to act. I was just excited to be there. You guys saw me. We were wearing our little suits and tie. We weren't wearing a tie, but we had a little, sports jacket and just everything that we needed to look professional and to look apart, to look at the part. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. Unfortunately, I think that day they had the glass down. So when you go to the press box, which is up top, if I'm not mistaken, they had the glass down. I can't really remember. But or it might have been like up, but it wasn't up all the way. So there's a glass, right? From kind of keeps you separated. And obviously the rest of the games the glass was up. So it was like the window was open. So you could just take all the emotions in, and it was crazy. But this one we didn't, and then it was kind of like a blowout. Germany Curacao, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a 7-1 game or something. It was just like a blowout. But Curacao scored their first game ever, like their first goal ever. I think Germany scored first, then Curacao tied it up. So for like a split 30 seconds, there was an ecstasy of like, Curaçao's going to win this? Like, if they're going to come back, are they going to tie it up? Is it going to be a crazy game? I don't know. Like, we were all like expectant, and we didn't know what to do, and we all wanted Curaçao to win in a sense because who doesn't love an underdog, and just it was Curaçao. Like, who knows? Like, half of us didn't. Well, I knew, but half of us didn't know where it was. In the map. I'm a map nerd, so I kind of know where some of the countries are. But other than that, it was a beautiful experience. It was our first World Cup game. I think we were just there to take everything in and just enjoy the feeling, kind of be in it in a sense. So that was the first game, first match, first World Cup match. We could, put in our bio or resume, World Cup, attendee, World Cup reporter, I guess, or whatever maybe. Second game here in Houston, Texas as well. Portugal, Congo, right? Yes, I'm pretty sure it was Congo. Democratic Republic of Congo. Same thing, you're right. Game 23 of 04, the flags, and the date and where it was played. In Portugal, Congo, it was one of those games where, to be honest, I think I was there late. I went late because I had to work, and then the game was like at noon, so I would get off at noon. So luckily, like I said, I was close by. So you still have to go through checkpoints and park and this and that, and by the time you're in the stadium, I think I got there like 20 minutes into the first half. Hydration breaks kind of helped because it would give you some extra time to kind of get there. And I'll be honest, I was just, as weird as it sounds, I was just mesmerized at the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo was playing, and I was watching Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's one of those things that you just don't know what to think, what to do. It's one of those things that you're like, bro, this is this is Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, this is the legend of the game. This guy's gonna go down as one of the greatest. Top 3, top 5. Wherever you want to put him in your list. But it's one of the guys that has been the most consistent. One of the guys that has, won the most, and just a superstar of the game. Obviously, he is not at the same level that he was back in his prime, Manchester United days or Madrid games or days, but it's still Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's just that. And then also, you start looking at the different other players, and we know Portugal had a freaking stacked team, and they were, I don't know if favorites to win it, but they were up there, right? Like, they were at least in the top 5. So just kind of taking that in, like, wow, I'm watching like these dudes play soccer live, and just there was moments where I would just watch Cristiano Ronaldo work, and he would walk, and he would run, and he would pass the ball, and he would touch it, and he would try to go for headers. And I was like, man, like, I have to ingrain this into my brain, because I'm never gonna see this again. And I can tell, like, people be like, I saw Cristiano Ronaldo play a World Cup. Like, that's just insane, sentence, and that's just what it was. Also, Aldo's story, if you go back to episode 1, Aldo's story talked about how Congo scored their first goal ever. And not only that, but they scored their first goal. That game ended 1-1, and Congo tied it up, and it was their first point ever in a World Cup. This cat. And that was it. And that was just that, like, being part of history, being part of that. And I love the fact that I got to hear Aldo's story, and hopefully you guys did too, because he was part of the Congo delegation. He was part of the team. He rode with them in the buses. He was there in trainings. He was there with the hotels when they had meals, when they did everything as a group, as a unit. And he has a picture of the guy scoring, and he has a signed vest of the guy who scored. Hey, be quiet. I'm trying to podcast here. Sorry, the cat. And I just love Aldo's story, and I love that he was part of history. I was part of history. We were part of the moment. And just seeing Congolese people celebrate, it just kind of brought you joy. And another, situation that we saw in Germany, Curaçao, the underdog coming back, fighting, and just being able to get a point against a superpower, which is Portugal. It was insane. It was insane. Seguimos. We'll go to the next one. Netherlands, Sweden. This was a matchup that a lot of people thought it was going to be even. And I think to a certain extent it was in the beginning. I think it ended like 5-2 or 6-2 or something like that. And it was also good. I mean, it's crazy to see, Van Dijk and just like all these guys that like superstars basically. And I think it was a whole anticipation of like the bus, right? The orange bus and the orange walk, and it was cool to see, something that caught my attention about the people of that I feel like that was the first time that Houstonians were able to participate in the World Cup. And why do I say that? Because, a lot of people did the walk. I don't know. I know it was thousands of people, and it was from like the Met Center to the stadium or something like that, or Discovery Green. I know it was like a 2-mile walk or a 3-mile walk. It was a long walk per se, but this was the first time that like you saw a lot of people like come in and be part of it, right? I mean, you're not gonna have thousands of, maybe Dutch people in Houston. I'm sure there was a lot of them, but I mean, not everybody was that, right? So walking around the stadium, you saw a lot of people we saw a lot of Dynamo jerseys, which orange. We saw a lot of Astros jersey, orange, right? So you saw a lot of Houstonians being integrated and being part of like, okay, this is us. Like, this is perfect. Like the color orange is part of Houstonian tradition per se, in a sense, not only in soccer with the Houston Dynamo, but also with the Astros. And I think a lot of people were able to be integrated into that. It was a hot day. There wasn't a lot of Swedish people. I got a little memento from there. But after we walked around the stadium and stuff like that, I don't even know if I have it there, but I found these and I picked them up and I was like, I'm gonna keep these. That's just how it is, no orange juice for you, and so obviously a Swedish sign, and then this is, I guess, a Dutch. No more Swedish meatballs for you. So I guess against IKEA, and then this little one, let's assemble a victory. Assembly required, meatballs included. So like another, Swedish thing, which I don't know. I found them on the floor, and I was like, these are the coolest thing ever. I'm just gonna take them because why would you leave those? Let me see, what else did I have a box. So I have this Dynamo box where I'm keeping all my World Cup stuff. I think I had something else. I don't know. I have this. I guess we're going through mementos now. It's a business card for somebody. I don't know if you can see it, but I took it because it looked cool. I have my badge. Oh, this is that game in Kyle Field. Also, Kyle Field was a heck of an experience. Actually, with my work, we actually worked. I didn't get to go to the Fan Fest, but I picked up trash from the Fan Fest. So this is my vendor badge. I still have my actual FIFA badge in my room, hanging in my room. I see it every day. It might be in my car actually. This is one of those fan cards, so you can create your own ID, so you can scan it, create your own ID. I found one. I don't know if it belongs to somebody, but I found it on the floor and I was like, I'm keeping it. And then every world, or at least in 2022, the first day of the World Cup, I took a picture with all my kids, and we took another picture. We replicated. I have the other picture actually in my room. I should have brought it. I'll bring it next week. But it's a Polaroid of me and my kids in the first day of the World Cup. And we have one for 2022 and we have one for 2026. And it's the same exact thing. And I think it's awesome because it just kind of shows how much they've grown in 4 years, right? Of course, who wasn't into this? The Panini cards. We didn't fill our thing, but, we got there. We almost have it. I have a happy birthday card for my daughter, but happy birthday, Dad. It has nothing to do with the World Cup, but I just love that she did that. She said, "You're a great dad. You work a lot, which helps us buy food. We all love you. You're the best dad." So that's all it is. But I don't know. I have it here in this box, and then I have this little ticket from when we went to a talk from Stephanie Leal, who created the official poster for the World Cup for Houston, and she did a talk in the Museum of Art, and we went to go listen to her or listen to her talk, and and that was part of that. So it's part of the World Cup, right? And then we got this little thing, which is like a passport. I'll show it to you guys right now. This little passport, and everybody got one. It was just badass. And then inside, I still haven't filled it out, but you can fill it out like a passport, I guess. Right? You fill out, and I think everybody has their own code. I don't know, or their own number. I need to fill this out, and then every city has their own stamp. So obviously, I went to the Dallas and Houston stadium, and I got them stamped. So I was part of that. And then if you were one of those lucky ones to travel everywhere, every city you went, you could get a stamped, which is awesome. And then here, I guess, notes. I don't have any notes, but we can get them stamped. But yeah, I mean, awesome. This thing is out of 2. There you go. We're back. And then they gave us this. It's a little, what do we call them? In Spanish, we call them riñon, or at least in Argentina, una riñonera. A fanny pack, a World Cup fanny pack, so 2026. And then they gave us this little Houston. I don't know if you can see it there. I don't know if the camera can get it. It's like a little rocket with a Houston that says "Woke Up in 26," and then my wife bought me this 2026 pin that I have a pin to. So here I have my little all my keep my wallet and just like a bunch of stuff, and I carry it everywhere now. So it's part of my persona now. I've become one of those guys. But yeah, that's that for that. Um, yeah, I wanted to show you guys that. All right, we move. Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia was next. This was in June 26th, 2026. Honestly, this is one of the most boring games I've ever seen in my life. Not boring, because I'll be honest, a boring game was the semifinal of Spain and France. That was boring. But this one was just, I don't want to be rude, but it was just two bad teams. Like soccer wise, it was such a bad game. I don't even remember what it ended, but I'll be honest, it was just a really bad soccer game. And it was funny because Cape Verde, they play Argentina, and we were like, bro, why are they giving us so much trouble? They're so bad. And then Saudi Arabia, they were the ones that beat Argentina in the 2022 World Cup, which is wild that both of them played. So yeah, that's that. And then so I put, bad game, but the entertainment was good. Cape Verde fans were amazing. I think them and Congo were and then the Japanese were awesome, and they made it feel a lot better. Like they made it feel awesome to be there, and like you were having so much fun. And they bring that, I guess, the Curacao people, they bring the Caribbean, right? And then the Congo, they bring that African flair that they bring, with drums and just singing and dancing. It just makes you happy, honestly. Like you just wanted to be there, and you wanted to be part of them, right? And I think that's one of those things that the World Cup has, that it includes people from different, like, countries, religions, creeds, whatever it may be. But that time, like, you can literally become one of them and be part of the group if you wanted to. So that was awesome. This is the first game that I went outside of Houston for, which is Jordan, Argentina. I was super excited for this one. My first Argentina game ever, like for like official, because I went to the Kyle Field one. But the first official Argentina game, not only ever, but World Cup. Not only in the World Cup, but ever. And then this one, it was awesome because not only that, but I honestly, so this one I got to ride with Cesar Procel, who I also consider a really good friend of mine. Now, after literally years of like working together, or not even working together, but he invites me and Rudy on his show, and he's awesome, and he's been great, like very gracious, and he's kind of like, he's become somewhat of a mentor to me, in a sense. I don't know if he knows it, but honestly, I take his opinions, and I take whatever he says very very to heart, because he's been part of the community, of the soccer community, or just media community for so long. I mean, over 20 years, that everything that he says, I really respect. And I respect his hustle, honestly, as a person. I was able to go to his house, meet his wife, meet his kids, and build a relationship with him, in a sense, a friendship. And yeah, yes, Jeff, I need to honestly ask him to come on the show too, because his experience is also, even though it was different, like I said, he wasn't able to watch the games live because he didn't get a pass. But just the fact that he has a freaking show talking about it, I think he brings such a different perspective as a media person, and I think he can give us a background on that. But yeah, we'll have Cesar on too. I'm sure he'll come on. But yeah, I mean, just the ride over there, 4 hours, and then we stayed in the hotel, and then going to the game, and then the ride back, and we had breakfast together, and like, the dude is such an amazing person that it just makes you happy to know that those people exist, in a sense. and you get to be friends with them. Honestly, like I'm blessed to know these people. Honestly, and so that was like awesome in a sense because you get to build friendships and stuff like that. I think it was part of it, but also just being in an Argentinian game. I mean, and this is where like all the freaking emotions like come out in a sense. I didn't cry. I thought I was gonna cry, to be honest with you. I thought I was gonna cry during the national anthem, but I composed myself and I sung the anthem proudly. It sucks that it's. I don't know if we're back. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, we're back. We're back. Let me know if anything happened, but I think the thing got unplugged. But we should be back. But yeah. So the anthem and just feeling it. Like I said, it's not the full anthem. It's just a portion of it, but just to sing it with all those people there, and everybody had one thing that I love about Argentinian soccer culture is like the flag part of it. So like this is my Boca one. Thank you, Jeff, for that confirmation. But this is the one that I traveled with my dad to Nashville to go watch Boca, and it's become part of our identity in a sense. And there's a song in Argentinian soccer culture folklore, I guess, that says, when I die, I don't want flowers. I want the flag with my colors on it to be draped on top of my coffin. I'm sure Argentinians will know, like Spanish people. It goes, cuando me muera no quiero nada de flores, quiero un trapo que tengas en esos colores. And honestly, those are one of the best lines in the freaking world, in my opinion, because it just kind of shows you how ingrained and how, I guess, crazy or delusional, I guess some people would say, we are as maybe Argentinians or soccer lovers in a sense. Because I feel like not only Argentinians are wild about soccer, I've seen it in different cultures too. And we're just wild like that. But one of the things that I love about, I saw it too in the British culture, is the flag. Like you bring your own like family flag, or from your town or your city, or your side of town, if you represent a side of town, you like your neighborhood or whatever it may be. And I just think it's awesome because it gives you a sense of belonging too, right? And it's just awesome, and just seeing hundreds and hundreds of flags everywhere in the stadium, and you're like, wow, I know that place, or my dad has been there, or I am from that place, or like my grandparents used to live there, and you're like, wow, like it's so amazing because you feel a sense of like you said, of belonging. You're like, me and that person have something in common. Like we lived there before, or he lives there now and I used to live there, or my dad grew up there and he has stories of him growing up as a child in that neighborhood, and this dude is from there. So it's like it's one of those things that just kind of it gives you a fuzzy feeling. Like it's awesome, like it's just really cool. It's really cool because it gives you that like emotion, that connection with the people. And not only that, but like the colors, like everybody's Argentinian, everybody's wearing a jersey, and it's just love, right? And then Messi, I mean, can we say anything else about Messi? I mean, the dude is to me, I know that obviously as an Argentinian, we have Maradona and we have Messi, and Maradona was not in my timeline per se, soccer wise. So to me, Messi is the best player I've ever seen play soccer. Like, and to be able to see him like do magic and score a goal, not only like see him play, but score a goal against Jordan, and it was literally like bucket list checks, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful just to, as a soccer lover, just of like being subjective of like watching soccer players. You're like, bro, like I can't believe this man can do those things, bro. Like it's just amazing, and it was just that, and it was just crazy. And then there was a dude gambling where we were standing. We didn't go to the press box with Cesar. We were standing at a location, and they had a Chilean flag. One funny thing about the FanFest is they screwed up setting the first day, thinking that the display the Texas flag, but they had Chilean flag. That's so sad. reading the comment there by Jeff. But one of the things that there was a dude gambling. He was like gambling a lot of money. I wanted to expand on that, but honestly, it's a throwaway story. The fact that the dude was running through thousands of dollars gambling, which is something that I don't do and I don't care. But it was just interesting to see people like get so lost in that. It sucks. But then another cool story that happened to me was in the mix zone. So in the mix zone, it's where the players come out and they talk to the media, and we had to wait a long time. And while we were waiting, there was a Japanese guy, right? So I was wearing an Aston Villa hat, and then this Japanese, like Asian dude, right? He's like, "Oh, you're an Aston Villa fan?" In English, and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah," and he was like, "Me too." And then he goes like this, and he points at his hat, and he has an Aston Villa hat. Then I'm like, "Oh snap! Like that's awesome, dude! Like, how long? I started like asking him questions in English, and he was like, "Oh, like," and he would like reply to me in Spanish. So I was like, "All right, well, I guess we're talking Spanish now." Like, but then we started talking, and I was like, "Oh, so like." I honestly forgot his name. I should have gotten his like social media information. So one day we'll catch up. But so he's Japanese. He has been living in London for 2 years. Like he doesn't even live in Birmingham, which is where Aston Villa is from. And he's just an Aston Villa fan. And I was like, how crazy is that? Like you're Japanese. You flew to Dallas to cover Argentina out of all teams, and he spoke Spanish, and I was like, how do you speak Spanish so well? Like he's like, oh, I travel around the world or whatever. He's like, I lived in Argentina for a couple months. I was like, bro, like your Spanish is so good. He's like, oh, thank you, and I was like, well, how about your English? He was like, oh, it's not that good. I was like, that's crazy because you live in London. So we talked, we chatted a little bit about Aston Villa and just soccer and stuff like that. And I was telling him, I was like, oh, like I'm a Boca fan and this and that. So we were just chatting. And then I was like, oh, I'm from Houston. Like I came from Houston. And he's like, oh, I'm going to be in Houston like in a couple of days for the next game, which was the round of 32, which was Japan, Brazil, which is the next one. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to be there. And I was like, dude, I'm from there. Like, I'm going to be there too. I was like, you know what? I'll see you there, man. Like, nice to meet you, this and that. And I got home and I was like, I need to make this dude a Dynamo fan. And because I told him about the Dynamo and like Bayou City Soccer and everything like we do and stuff like that. And so I came home and I was like, all right, what do I have that I can give this man as a gift? I mean, I'm never going to see him again probably, but he can take, a gift from Houston. So I gave him I don't know if you guys remember those flags that say Forever Orange. I had an extra one. So I gave him that. And then I gave him, what else did I give him? I think I gave him a scarf, like a Houston Dynamo scarf. You know how they do the giveaways and stuff like that? Like, these plastic looking ones. And I gave him one of those that said like Houston Dynamo. So somewhere out there in London, there's a Japanese guy with a Houston Dynamo flag and a Dynamo scarf. So hopefully I created a new Dynamo fan for the culture, I don't know if I told anybody that story, but I thought it was the most awesome thing because, what are the odds that, a random Japanese dude and then, I meet him and we're both Aston Villa fans and then I get to kind of like evangelize them into, Dynamo fandom in a way or the MLS, which is cool. Worst case scenario, he just has a souvenir from from Houston, so it was awesome. And then just the other thing was just like seeing the players face to face, the Argentinian players. So you guys know a Boca fan, Leandro Paredes. He's kind of like one of our, I wouldn't say idols, but he represents Boca in a sense, and he's the captain now currently in Argentina in Boca Juniors. And I had him literally like face to face, and you're like, bro, I mean, I don't idolize the dude, but I idolize the dude. I mean, he plays for my team, like my favorite team ever. Like, I feel like sometimes with the Dynamo, I get so desensitized because I see these guys like every week in a sense that you don't fanboy as much because I see him often. Um, but a dude that you've never seen and you're like, bro, like you play for the national team, you play for Boca, and then I saw the same distance, like literally like inches, like a foot away from me, Emi Martinez, Aston Villa goalkeeper that just won an international trophy with Aston Villa, like the first one in 80 some year, 82 years, I think it was, or no, it wasn't 80 years, but since 1982, which is 60, I think 60 years. So it was just very surreal to see those dudes like in front of me, and I was recording. I was trying to get Emi Martinez attention with the hat. He saw the hat, like we made eye contact. He saw the hat, and he just like kept going. But it was just cool, just to see them like face to face almost. And I don't know, it was cool. It was cool. That's all I have to say. It was really cool to see them that close. Yeah. So the next game, Japan, Brazil, which was a 1-1 and then or 2-1 at the end. But Japanese people blew me away, man. They were singing the whole 90 minutes. The 45, they stopped at the break, and then the next 45. And they were singing like Argentinian songs, like, dale, dale, dale. And like, I mean, we hear those at the Dynamo too, but like Japanese soccer culture is so crazy that I never thought I would experience it live, and I did. And that's just basically it. Like, they blew me away. And the Brazilians, like, and whenever like they scored, they tied the game, and it looked like it was gonna go their way. And unfortunately, Brazil scored the winner at literally the last minute. And just the same thing, just seeing the stars, seeing all the Brazilian stars. And Neymar was in the bench; he didn't play, but just seeing him warm up, and you see, I don't know, you just see all the Brazilian stars, and you're like, bro, like these guys, Champions League winners, I don't know, you get blown away, and you're like, this is wild, dude. Like, this is wild. And I mean, that was it. That was that was the story. But just giving the gift to the guy, it was just awesome. So hopefully there's a Japanese that lives in London, that hopefully is a Houston Dynamo fan. So I'm doing the Lord's work. I'm evangelizing for the Houston Dynamo. The next game was Canada-Morocco, round of 16, July 4th, Independence Day. Amazing atmosphere. Moroccans, I'm planning, well, I still have to hit this person up, but there's a person of Moroccan descent that lives here in the city, and she is a lady, a young lady. She does like freestyle soccer and stuff like that. So I'm hoping, I need to hit her up, and hopefully to also book her and bring her on the show, to kind of, for her to show her, her experience. Last World Cup, I actually had a soccer coach around the city that he's from Morocco, and he came on my 442 show, and he told me about Casablanca and just like all the teams. I forget, Wydad Casablanca, I think it is, and like the soccer culture in Morocco, and how crazy it is, and honestly, it's one of those things that you don't know. Like, you don't know how they are. You don't know how they operate, because I don't watch Moroccan soccer. I don't watch African soccer, and just to be culture in it opens your eyes to like the rest of the world, basically, and it's awesome to see that, right? So hopefully I'm able to get her and come on the show. And same thing, Morocco, just the stars, Hakimi, and you see how Morocco and just the Canadian guys, there was a lot of Canadian people, or at least some of them. And then the Morocco fans, there was at one point in the game that I went to the Morocco section to take pictures. And when I was there, they scored. And man, the eruption of that section, it was wild, dude. Like, just being around, like, I was there for the Argentina game, and I got to celebrate with 70,000 people, basically, the Argentina goals. But to be in a different culture, and just to kind of see that, which is stupid, right? What I'm about to say, but that they react the same way. Like, they celebrate goals the same way that maybe a different culture would celebrate. Like everybody hugged each other, everybody high fived each other. Just the burst of emotions. I think I have pictures that go to my Instagram. There's pictures of that game, and I think I have some pictures of them, of like some people hugging and just at that moment. And I got to see that and connect that and capture that, and it was one of the most beautiful moments that I lived as an outsider, and just being happy for them. Like I could care less about Morocco, but at that moment, you just felt Moroccan. Like you wanted to hug people, you wanted to be around them, you wanted to sing their songs, because they were singing songs. It was awesome. It was awesome. And then afterwards, when we were in the press box, I have a video of that. I never posted it, but there's a video that I have of the Moroccan press also celebrating like the winner, and the ecstasy of them also, like, oh my God, we're going to the next round. Like they were so happy. And I got to work with Riley James. So Riley James, he's actually, I mentioned in the beginning, he's going to be in the next episode, and he's going to talk about in the perspective of an American, person that covers the game, and what it felt for him to kind of live it in his home turf in a way. And I got to work with him. I was able to do a segment for his show, and it was just pretty awesome. And at one point, we literally had to do it twice because the first time we did it, we had the Moroccan fans behind us, and they were celebrating so much, and they were being so loud, and I mean, they were happy, right? They went on to the next round, and they would just get in front of the cameras and just yell and scream and just be excited that we couldn't use the footage, so we had to redo it afterwards, and whenever basically everybody left, and the cool story about that is that we stayed at the stadium for so long. That was actually the last game played in Houston, Texas, that we got to see all the volunteers go into the field and take pictures and kind of like celebrate the ending of the World Cup in Houston. And it was just awesome to see like the hundreds and hundreds of people, of volunteers, go out there and take pictures and be great. Because honestly, the Houston delegation, I have nothing bad to say. Everybody was awesome. Everybody was helpful. The volunteers were awesome. Just everybody was awesome, honestly. And it was a beautiful World Cup in Houston. And I think we deserve an applause as a city, honestly. And we're, like I said, me and Riley stayed so long after the game that at one point there was a guy. There's a picture on my Instagram of this. There was a guy, and he walked by, and he had a ball, like a soccer ball, right? One of the World Cup balls. And I was like, hey, excuse me, I was like, is there any way that we can take a picture with it? And he's like, yeah, sure. It was a dude in a suit, so I didn't think he was gonna like say yes. But I'm at a point in my life where I'm just shooting my shot at everything, and what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? They're gonna say no, right? So he throws me the ball, right, and it was kind of like deflated, and then I look at the ball and it had dirt on it, like just like it was like dirty with dirt, and I looked at the guy and I was like, is there any chance that this ball was actually played with, like it was used? He was like, yeah, it's a game ball, like it's an actual ball that was used in the game. And I was like, bro, this is, I mean, obviously the little things that at this moment like are exploding in my head. I was like, this is a World Cup ball, like it had dirt on it. And I looked at Riley and I was like, bro, like this is freaking history. So we both took pictures. We took pictures together, and we took the pictures separate. And it was just awesome. I mean, it's a soccer ball, right? Like it's the most like the smallest thing. I was gonna say diminutiva, like the smallest. I don't know how to say it in English, but I say it in Spanish, which is funny because it's basically the same word. But is the smallest thing in the world a soccer ball? But like to me is like, like it's the World Cup ball. Like these dudes were playing a World Cup match with this freaking ball, and I have it in my hands. It's like I'm part of history, right? And that was it. That was our Morocco experience. That was our Morocco Canada experience. It was pretty awesome. And then the last game, I got to ride by myself. I went to the semifinal, 4 hours in Dallas, France, Spain. So it was a Tuesday, so I have to work. And my wife, shout out to her, she looked at me and she was like, when else in the world in your life are you going to be able to be at a semifinal of the World Cup? And I was like, yeah, babe, but like I gotta work, like we need money, like I to be just transparent, and I haven't said it, but I got fired from my previous job, so I have another job, and financially it's not the same. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, so that happened, and I was like, babe, like I need to go to work. Like I can't just not only am I gonna miss a day of work, which is money, but gas, food, like these things are gonna add up. Um, as a guy, I don't know if as a guy, but like as a dad or provider, like it's one of those things that sometimes we struggle with. If you're a guy, I think you would understand if you're a dad. Um, and she just straight up looked at me and she was like, "Go, like just go, just literally go." And I like it was such a battle like in my heart because all those things. And imagine how much of a battle it was that I left my house in the morning because the game was at noon or at 2. And then so I left like at 8 and it was pouring that day. It was raining. It was raining so bad. And like it literally rained like cats and dogs for the first hour of my ride. And the whole time I was like, man, I'm going to turn back. I'm turning back. I'm turning back and I'm going to go to work. Well, actually, no, because at that time it was already too late for me to go to work and I already lost a day. So, in my head, I was like, I lost work because I was going to go to this game and then I'm not even going to go to this game. I'll be honest, like I was going through country roads, like, to get there. And I was scared because I was like, like freaking 18-wheeler drive, they drive past you and your little car just goes, like you start shaking and moving. And I was like, I'm by myself. Like, what if something happens to my car? And, like I don't have money to fix it. And then I don't have a car to go to work. I have to pay for to fix it. And I lost, all these things just start popping up in your head and you just start doubting all the decisions that you made in your life, basically. And I called my wife and I was like, hey, babe, like, I think I'm just going to turn around. And she's like, where are you? And I was like, oh, I'm like right here, right here, right here. And she's like, hold on, let me pull up the weather app. She pulled up the weather app. She's like, bro, like, as soon as she literally said that, she was like, bro, as soon as like you pass like this little town, she was like, there's not going to be rain anymore. Like the rain is going the opposite direction. She was like, just go, like stop and go, like stop, not being annoying and just go. I was like, all right, like I'll go. So I ended up going and I went. I got to Dallas. It was like 1,000 degrees. I sweated my ass off, which is funny because I was raining cats and dogs closer to home. And I got to experience a semifinal of France, Spain. I walked around for a lot of the game and I took pictures and I got to see Mbappe. I got to see, Lamine Jamal. I got to see all these Rodri work and you're just like, bro, like I'm in a semifinal of a World Cup. And it's one of those things that you just like, you gotta pinch yourself. The game as a game was like, whatever. It was just a game. Like there was no emotional attachment other than the fact that it was just a semifinal. But yeah, I mean that's what it was. That's what it was. It was just a game. But just being there and being able to be like experience the people, the culture, the fans, just the emotions and just being there and that's the experience, right? Just to experience it is the experience. And that was my World Cup. That was my experience at the World Cup. Hopefully you guys are still awake. But that was my experience at the World Cup and hopefully, like I said, if you go to my Instagram, Cris Putallaz, you're gonna see pictures there. I have a bunch of pictures. I have a bunch of pictures that I haven't posted, honestly, that I took I want to do an album of. I want to actually print them out and have. I was telling Aldo that he should do the same. I mean, he's a actual photographer. I took my little camera and just took pictures of whatever I thought it was cool. But I want to do, like when I have a wedding album, and you have like wedding pictures. I want to do the same thing for a World Cup album and have it as a coffee table, like, book. When people go to your house and they're like, what is this book? And you're like, oh, just pictures of the World Cup that I attended. And, just kind of like, slight flex, Um, and yeah, and it's just awesome. I mean, the semifinal with Argentina was crazy. The emotions were super high. You guys know that. And then the final, and just to see Argentina in another final was awesome too. We didn't get to win it, but just, the ups and downs, the emotions. Living it with my family was also part of like the most beautiful experience that I've had. All my kids in their Argentina jersey. My wife in Argentina, she's Chilean, but she like learned to support me in a sense. And I love the fact that like she embraced. She doesn't like soccer, right? But like I feel like after the World Cup, I don't know if she likes soccer because she likes soccer or she likes soccer because she likes me so much that she's like, you know what? He likes it, so I'm going to like it for him. And I'm tearing up again just because it's awesome to feel loved. And it's awesome to feel experiences that are once in a lifetime, like being in a World Cup that, to a lot of people might not mean anything. Life is just another moment of life. But to like kids like us and kids or people that, grew up with the sport and this is the pinnacle of the sport, like it brings so much out of us in a sense. And just being able to experience and having the support of like different people, friends, family, like you guys watching, just the community that Bayou City Soccer has built in a sense. And you guys support, like you guys get happy when we are happy and we get happy when you are happy in a sense, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to see how my family also like enjoyed it and loved it and would keep up with games. And my son was buying the little figuritas, buying the panini cards and putting them in his book. And my girls, they're like, we want to watch soccer. Like they don't care, but now they wanted to watch soccer because dad wanted to watch soccer. And they kept up with all the countries, like all the flags, and they would draw every day something about the World Cup. And just, I don't know, it was a month of like pure joy in my household, because not only the best thing of soccer was going on, but like we were being part of it. And I feel like we were as a family, not just me as a person. And it's just awesome, dude. It's just awesome. I don't know what else to say. It's just I'm super glad I got to live this. And I am so eternally grateful to everybody that helped me. And yeah, man, that's my story. That's my World Cup story. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did telling it. Like I said, next week we'll have Riley James. He's already on the books. I'm still working on closing 2 more, and then hitting up all the other people afterwards. And if you guys know somebody that you think it would be cool to hear from, let me know, and I'll try to hit them up and see if they want to be part of this experience that is the Cris P Show. Other than that, I want to say thank you to everybody watching. Thank you for everybody that listens, that likes, supports. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. Leave a like. Go to my Instagram, please. So let me tell you a funny story. The other day, I was calling a game for Vote League, which you guys know I do. And I was like, you know what? The second half is getting intense. I'm going to go live on my phone so people can see what I do. And I try to go live, and Instagram says, sorry, but you don't have 1,000 followers, so you can't go live. And I was like, son of a biscuit. So if you have a friend that doesn't follow me, please tell them to follow me. I want to get to 1,000 followers on Instagram so I can go live and just kind of like showcase my talent, I guess, of being a play-by-play announcer for a semi-pro, for an amateur league here in Houston. Other than that, like I said, thank you again. Don't forget to go to BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where we have everything and anything that you may want to know or want about soccer culture here in Houston. We follow Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash, Houston Dynamo 2, and then every other team around. And just thank you. Follow social medias and go in there and just get it on. And then Cris Putallaz on Instagram and X. I think I'm gonna be a little bit more active on X. I don't know. I'm just gonna like say thoughts. And Instagram, I just post pictures. And then, like I said, don't forget to join everything that we do in Bayou City Soccer. If you want to be part of the Discord, make sure you go over there. There's a link on BayouCitySoccer.net. And the Strava group, Bayou City Soccer on Strava. Check us out. Be part of the fitness community that we're building over there. Other than that, my name is Cristian Putallaz, better known as Cris P. Thank you guys for watching the Cris P Show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That cat is saying it's time to go to sleep. So we'll go to sleep. We'll see you guys next time. Y'all have a great day, and God bless you.